People will say, man, I don't really about nothing. Yes, you do. Because if I pushed you down the step now, you'd be mad. So you do give a about shit. You give a like, do you not understand what give a mean? Do you not know what a is? Maybe that'd be the problem. Y'all don't be knowing what a is. You just be, I don't give no fucks. You don't even understand the concept of a fuck. How the fuck would you know if you give fucks away? You don't know what the fuck is. What's poppin', pimpin'? It's your boy Scotty motherfucking Wilson back with another fabulous episode of Vlogging for My Sanity, where I sit here and talk about everything that be going on in my head because I be going crazy. And I'm also kind of trying to show people how to get to financial freedom without you really having to do a whole lot, which is a lie. That's a lie. Actually, let's start there. Actually, no, I don't want to start there, but we're gonna get to that because that's actually a good point to get into, the conversation for today. Check me out, y'all. I got microphones, finally. Hold on, can you see that? Okay. Yeah, I finally got me some new microphones, y'all. Yeah. So let me know how the quality sounds. Let me know how it sounds for real. If I'm talking too close to the mic, or what I'm saying, whatever the case may be, because it's been a minute. What the fuck is that? What the fuck was that? Anyway, because it's been a minute since we Anyway, let me get out of that. I don't even like what I just did. See, this is the problem here. This is the problem about this content creation. I don't even like what I just did because I was coming into this like trying to talk and be clear and concise, but the voice that I was using sounded like some like made up bullshit. It really sounded like some cliche ass, you know what I'm saying? Well, this is what we're doing today, guys. Like, no. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. I don't like this shit. I don't like this shit. But I was serious about what I was saying because a part of what I be doing with this vlogger for my sanity, even though for me, what I'm showing y'all is me just going through my day to day mentally. I'm also doing something that I've been trying to tell people to do for a very long time, but it's bad to just say shit without having no evidence to what you're doing. So now instead of me talking about how good social media is or how important it is or how you can make a lifestyle out of it, sustain it, all this, that, and the other, I'm just doing it myself. Honestly, I could have did this a long time ago because hopefully I actually sit still long enough to edit and I post right here one of my first videos that I actually did. I think that was 2000. What that shit say? 2022, I think is what it said. I don't know. I posted. But anyway, I made it in 2022. That video right now has 23,000 views. You feel me? So 23,000 views from 2000. What did I say? 22? That's 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 3 years. So in 3 years, I got 23,000 views on a video. And I know how I could have done that faster, quicker, more efficiently, and I could have compounded on that over time to give me a whole lot more views than I have now. I really understand all of it. For one, I've been doing it recently with a lot of the content that I've been putting out now. And for two, it's a hell of a lot easier now that I just understand content in general instead of trying to understand content as an artist, because that's what I was doing before. I was trying to understand content and how to do all of this and how to make money, how to live, all this, that, and the other, while trying to keep your mental health together, normal human adult shit, you know what I'm saying, being American. And I was realizing that it feel like something kept missing. Like I kept missing something. First of all, if you ever feel like you're in that same position, you're really not missing anything. That's the problem. The problem is that you actually feel like you're missing something. You're not missing anything because you're just human. So there's only so much you can do. The problem that happens when it comes to the American dream, trying to build something, blah 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 blah, all of that stuff that's happening on the side of America that where miracles happen. Not saying that you can't have a miracle and living a regular life. It's just I find myself not necessarily wanting to speak to something that I might not necessarily understand per se, because I feel like so many people have done that to me, and I just try not to do that to people. You know what I'm saying? Like I try not to judge motherfuckers because that judging shit it seems a little whack. Now I can't use observation and try to pinpoint shit to the best of my ability to where it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, this just makes sense. I ain't completely fucking stupid. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a rocket scientist, but I ain't stupid. This makes sense. Just on an average level, like, and I just feel like a lot of people will speak from a certain place irregardless of how it might come across. To a certain extent, I understand that. What is this show? What is this? I mean, it's some good commercials. It's some good movies gonna come out. I haven't noticed that lately. Y'all getting good with the movies. I appreciate that. I really do. But anywho, yeah. So just in case you was actually interested in what the fuck I was talking about, so let's stay on that. The whole content creating and trying to build a lifestyle for yourself, trying to be rich in America and all that good shit. Let's talk about that. There are a lot of instances where people can kind of, well, first of all, this is America. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. The problem with doing whatever the fuck you want to do is that you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. You really, some people aren't either experienced or mature enough to understand what I just said. So I'll break it down. And it's not your fault that you like that. So if you took that insultingly, then you already cooked. But the thing about being able to do whatever you want to in America is the reason why the disenfranchising of different marginalized groups can affect that decision or feeling of I can do whatever I want to do. And I feel like America as a whole is very disingenuous to that, because we'll look at each other. That's why because all of us look at our experiences personally. So for me, for example, when I look at black people say dumbass shit like that, like, well, we all got the same opportunities. No, we don't. Like, no, we don't. Like, that's disingenuous. I'm not saying that you didn't, that you didn't have a unique situation where, you still achieve the odds. Actually, matter of fact, I'm not even gonna go through that with y'all, because that's gonna get into a stupid ass conversation too. I don't like when black people say, this is specific to the conversation, not just in general, but I don't like when black people say shit like, well, we all got the same opportunities. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand why there are other black people who hang on to the idea of being disenfranchised versus just getting up and doing what they got to do. What I've learned about humans, that every single human is unique in their own way. So when people say shit like that to try to generalize a certain behavior, I've learned, and you're more than welcome to test the theory, because I like how we try to use statistics and like stuff, because people do that. They'll try to use statistics when it benefits them. I don't necessarily always like to use statistics, even though statistics is probably the best way to like figure out things. Kinda. Even what I'm saying right now, the back and forth with understanding what statistics versus focusing on real life. Human beings have found ways to muddy things so much that you as an individual, it makes it hard for you to try to understand anything at all. Like, you have to use your own discernment and whatever you like. And then when you start figuring out that that's pretty much life, is that you figure out whatever you want to do, you realize that it's pretty much we are all cooked. Because by the time you figure that out, you probably already have something in you already. Even genetics. That's why I don't like when niggas say, you know what I'm saying? I don't understand why black people act like they, you know what I'm saying, they so disenfranchised. And I'm looking at another nigga. And it's like, because you know what's so funny about them niggas? Why is it that if you ask them their story, you can correct me if I'm wrong, why is it that when you ask these niggas this story who feel like we all got the same opportunity, it's always something unique about these individuals? And if you can't find it in their life, now watch this. If you can't find it in their life, I bet you I would love to have a conversation with their parents and see what type of people they are. Because there's always some type of reason of why somebody would say something that can be challenged so obviously. I'm not saying that they don't have a point, but that seems like an obvious challenge. Like, I think any normal person in America, whatever color they would be, would look at that other black person and be like, well, that's interesting. The fact that they would even say that at all kind of goes more to my point than theirs, is what I'm saying. And I'm saying all of that to say, to go back to, the whole content creating thing, because honestly, to me, it really all connects. It all makes sense and it all connects. I genuinely don't believe that one thing is lesser than the other. Now that could be unique to me and my personal circumstances or how I view life. But for me, I use an example because one of my passions is hip hop. I've never looked at hip hop or rap in a lower tier the way everybody else does, because to me, I find it very interesting that you want to use it when you want to do something big. When you want to get something major off, I notice that a lot of people will go towards hip hop. They like hip hop. Even when you're trying to teach your children, you notice that for some odd reason they like the rap songs better than the other songs. I find it very interesting that you lean towards hip hop when it favors whatever you believe in. But all of a sudden, now when it's on a larger scale, it's something that we have to put on a lower tier. And I find that even more interesting that it seems to happen more often with things that can be deemed ghetto towards black people. I find that extremely interesting that human beings as a whole, especially Americans, because it doesn't matter what color they are, then they always revert back to being an American when it comes to that. If it has something to do with being black and ghetto, all of a sudden now it's on a lower tier. And the art of it, the creation of it, the whatever, all of the other things, it doesn't matter. We have to put it on a different scale. And I've noticed that happens every single time with a lot of other things. Every time it's done in a black way, it's deemed on a lower scale. Now, I also believe it's a reason why we do that, because 9 times out of 10, when we do something, it is kind of on a lower scale. I don't believe that it's on a lower scale because we are just lower than our white counterparts. I believe it's on a lower scale because you disenfranchised us to only give us a handful of things to do it in the first place. So what I'm saying is, when you created an award show and when we created an award show, you had all the resources that you need to create an award show that looked prestige, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. You gave us scraps. So then when we created our award show, it was technically on the stage is raggedier. That's all you gave us. So now, because that's a fact, what Americans, because I'm talking to you niggas too, what Americans do is they will sit here and say, well, when we do it the black way, that's the wrong way to do it. That's not as prestige. It's not as elegant. It's not it's not as important because it's done like this, which is crazy because you keep feeding into it being done like this. I find it really interesting that every time y'all get sick of y'all prestiginess, because you keep getting sick of it, because you keep coming over here, you come over here. Like, that's weird. Like, there's a lot of different versions of poor. So why do you keep coming to the black version of it? That's very interesting. I find it interesting. So to sit here and say that all of the stuff that black people go through is like irrelevant to your life experience, I think it's bullshit. I think it's disingenuous to, first of all, I think it's disingenuous to psychology, because I find it very interesting how human beings have never really admitted, or at least not in my lifetime, because I've kind of been alive with this whole mental health thing. So I find it interesting that before y'all start talking heavy about mental health, while we're talking heavy about mental health, nobody talks about the fact that we're just now talking about heavy about mental health as far as humans are concerned. Is from what I'm getting. I haven't seen a lot of y'all speak on the history of mental health. I haven't. Like, I don't see y'all. I don't hear nobody talking about, well, this culture used to be big on mental health with such and such. I don't hear that. I've never heard nothing like that. I'm not saying it's not true, but I've never heard of no culture just focusing on mental health as a thing, like just focusing on that as like the way we do now. Now, I do understand that America be late to shit and we always stealing shit. So there probably is a culture somewhere that was probably big on mental health before we were aware of it and before we commercialized it. But America is good at that. We're good at commercializing shit and making it bigger than it was, so that way we can actually do something about it. Because on a larger scale, once enough human beings know that y'all doing some bullshit, it's like, okay, that sounds like some bullshit. We might need to do something about that. But yeah. So, because I don't think humans are inherently evil. I don't. Not as a whole. If they were, they would have killed themselves because they're idiots. Because they are idiots. I do think they're all stupid. But because they do dumb shit, like elect people that are dumb. Obviously dumb. So with that being said, I don't know how we could ignore the fact that it's being done. I think a lot of times people try to ignore the fact that it's being done. Like, well, who voted for this nigga? People. And they exist and they matter. If they didn't, then we wouldn't have to deal with the problem. We keep trying to act like people don't matter to feed our egos. And that's why I don't like when people do that. That whole, well, I've lived this lifestyle and I've never done that, so I don't understand why we should be listening to a person who's actually been through it. It's like, that's weird. Like, that's weird. Like, my thing is, y'all try to make us all seem like we moving like how Buddy moving now, like how Trump moving now, like how we all just, we've been through stuff. I don't like that. I don't like that about America. And it's very Christian of y'all. Like, cause I get it, as far as how y'all do, but it's very old school dictator Christian. I don't think it's what it's supposed to be today. It's very old school dictator with it. Like, if somebody hasn't walked a fine line in their entire life and y'all start finding out about shit about y'all literally will take money away from these people. You will get in your feelings and be like, I can't trust this person. Which is very, very strange, because I don't see a world where there's enough people in the world to say that, obviously. Because y'all still have, like, I don't see enough of you niggas marching in the streets about who's in office right now for y'all to sit up here and act like you have the right to judge anybody about anything. Because you don't care enough about your day-to-day. You don't. There's nobody, to me, between 65 and 35 who has the right to say anything about anybody, judgment-wise, if you're not actively marching in the streets for the person who is taking money from your children and you. Like, it's obvious. Like, he's literally taking people and putting in freaking concentration camps. Like, that's what's actually happening. Like, in real life. Like, that's really what's happening. Like, there are reports about this. People are reporting this. And somehow you can listen to me and say, that's propaganda. You're an idiot. Like, I'm not that smart enough for me to sit up here and feel like I need to even have a discord back and forth about that. Like, that shit that we learned in high school, my nigga. And y'all skipped school more than I did. Like, when I was in school, I was actually in class. I knew who was skipping class. And now I got to argue with you skip class ass niggas, because that's what it be feeling like. That's what it be feeling like. Every time I have conversations with these people, I'm like, I know you didn't come to class. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Because it's not what the fucking book said. Like, it's certain shit. I'm like, why did you even need to Google that? Like, that was just, if you were just in class, you would have heard that. Like, I wasn't paying attention in class and still heard them say that. Like, it'd be simple shit. It'd be really, really simple shit. Where I'm like, bro, I wasn't even paying attention in class. And I know that. Like, what are we talking about? Some shit be a little weird when it comes to people, and their lack of discernment, because they want to hang on to their beliefs. Me personally, that's why I have a hard time believing in beliefs at all. Because you mean to tell me you believe in beliefs so hard that you will disenfranchise your own life? Like, you mean you will give your own self a lower level of life quality because you just believe so hard? Humans are weird. Like, y'all are weird. That is weird. That is weird. Like, is that not weird? I'm fucked up? I guess. I also do understand that I live in a time where I have the right to think that way as well. So that's another thing that people do, because they be acting like people stupid. I'm also aware of the fact that I was born in the 90s, early 2000s, in one of the, I guess, I'm assuming, biggest boost in liberal economy that y'all done seen in a while. Because I act like every time something changed, y'all be like, oh my God, how did that happen? Because who gives a fuck? Because it's a lot other shit going on than for me to be caring about an extra bathroom gender. Like, that's stupid. Like, why are we talking about? I don't want to talk about that. Like, that's stupid to talk about. To me, there shouldn't be a conversation. It shouldn't be at all. Like, do you want one? Sure, here you go. Moving on back to the other shit that's actually destroying the fucking country. Like, There were mental health issues that we were already dealing with before we got to this point. Matter of fact, to me, the issues that we already had is why you have these new issues. So I don't want to talk about. I just don't. I really don't. I don't. I feel you, but I should be able to say that. And I genuinely don't like the fact that that's what it seems like we're doing to each other. Is we're getting to a point where we can't say shit to each other without motherfuckers feeling like, are we finna bang because you in your feelings? Because that's what it be. You be in your feelings, and now you want to fight because I done said some shit you disagree with. Fuck you. That's what's wrong with people. That's why they be feeling like that. That's why motherfuckers be feeling like they trapped inside of another body. Because why can't I just say that? Like, I should be able to say that and it not hurt your feelings and, oh my God, you're gonna die. But that's what people do. Mostly parents. They be trying to act like it's the world. No, it be like marginalized groups that y'all don't want to talk about, like parenting. That's why do these people feel like this? Why is everybody in these households? Have y'all asked them that? Well, no, you don't, because when you do, these people get in their feelings, and now you don't want to hear them because they're talking about their feelings. Which is why I tell y'all you need to come. You need to have a better conversation than statistics or just statistics or just feelings. I feel like there needs to be a fine middle ground between that, so that way you can reach both sides accurately, and people can quit going back and forth about stupid shit. I'll be whining about the wrong shit. There are people getting sent in concentration camps. Like, my nigga, what the fuck are we talking about? I don't want to talk about that. Not when there are children and people getting deported and motherfuckers finna get their rights with the Roe v. Wade. But we want to talk about what? That's not okay. That's not okay. Like, that's not okay. Single-handedly disenfranchising shit, and still ain't even deal with the crack shit. Y'all ain't even dealt with that yet. We're just dealing with the ramifications of that. That's why everybody got mental health issues. They keep thinking it's like current society. That's what I think is funny. A lot of people will go through shit that they going through, and they'll think, you know what I'm saying, that you think your mental health issues has to do with the fact that you live in 2025, when in reality, if you knew anything about genetics and psychology, your mental health issues might not have nothing to do with none of the shit that's going on. It might have something to do with some shit that happened in the 60s that was passed down to you genetically that you don't know nothing about. That's a fact that's a possibility. That is an extreme fact that is a fucking possibility. I don't need to be a fucking doctor to do that. You can please go look it up if you don't believe me. If you don't believe me, I don't understand why you're here, because that doesn't make sense for genetics not to play a huge factor in why you move and walk and talk the way you do. I know human beings like to deny that because human beings are so weird and they just assume that they can control everything, you know what I'm saying, in nature, including genetics. So, no, the fact that your parents were crack addicts has absolutely nothing to do with you being addicted to the opposite. Because people do that. They'll be like, nope, you ain't talking about me because my parents were horrible people and I decided to do something different. Okay. Okay. So there's no evidence of any of your parents in you at all. Like, no. So just because you don't beat on women, there's nothing of your dad in you at all. Like, just, that was the only thing it could have been. It was just beat women or nothing. People are fucking weird. Like that. Do y'all understand how genetics work? I did not have to be a super nothing to figure this. Like, it to me, it was just basic observation. But even that's genetic. Even the way I speak to people sometimes, and I'd be like, "How do you not see that?" I'm sure that my ability to observe things a little bit deeper to the point where I could probably argue with somebody that understands like statistics is probably genetic, which is why it would be something that's unique to me. Which is why I would not sit here, excuse me, and damn everybody to hell. But I do think you're stupid. I don't think that's a damning thing. I think I think it can be perceived that way without context. So if you decided to perceive it that way without context, then that's a personal thing that you could do. But Trying to tell you. My bad, I done went off on a tangent. So we were saying all of that to say, people keep talking about Happy Gilmore. Like it's good. I'm gonna look at it because I like Adam Sandler. I always have. He's just super. Ooh, he's super white boy comedy. He's super white boy comedy, and I get it, but just sometimes gay shit ain't funny, and then sometimes like they jokes be like crude as fuck. They be like, bro, what the fuck is happening? I'm fucking hollering. R.I.P. to Pops. Man. I'm watching the Boondocks. But yeah. So getting back to the point of what I was saying, I was because I kind of got off on a tangent. My bad. The whole point of what I was talking about was I was talking about content creating. But see, that'd be the problem for me. At least that'd be the problem for me when it comes to content creating. So don't do this. If you're a content creator, don't do what I'm doing. See, what I do is I start getting caught up in the circle of life and start forgetting the purpose of what I'm specifically trying to do. If you want to be a content creator, you want to be rich at being content creating. Like you kind of have to focus. I ain't gonna say kind of, but if you want to do anything in life, you need to focus. And for me, it's very hard to focus, which is why instead of me sitting here trying to go crazy and go back and forth about everything, I started to try to focus all of my attentions, which is why when you go to my page, it's a playlist of different things that I'm interested in because I'm trying to center my focuses. Now, when you come to my page, it's a lot going on. Some people will like that. Some people won't. The fact that we live in interest media instead of social media now, for me, that actually works in my benefit because if one of my tangents or let's just say this particular video decided to pop, not because I was talking about content creating, because I started talking about politics. Whoever likes politics or feels like they agree or disagree with what I'm saying, that part of the clip or whatever the case may be might go to them specifically. You feel what I'm saying? That is why content creating to me is probably the most efficient, best way for you to live in the future that's coming to America because don't nobody want to fucking work. And it's better for us to get into this whole mental health thing and understand how the mind works while we actually have the capacity to do it because white people ain't chasing me down the street no more. Well, they kind of are, but that's why I'm in the house, recording shit. And I actually have the experience to speak on that, So, yeah. No, I'm not one of these people that be like, yeah, white folks just after me. No, they were literally after me. Like, I documented it a few times. Or attempted to anyway. So, it's just I just always find that interesting that there might be a time where I become extremely famous and somebody tries to, pull my card or whatever the case may be, and I'll speak to that. And what's going to happen is they're going to try to use that as karma. They're going to say, well, weren't you doing this, and this? And maybe that was your karma. This is my response to them now, before I even get to that interview. I don't think that no human being on the face of the earth desires to go through karma for a condition that they were not asked to put in. Now, I understand that as Americans, you feel like, well, you get the cards that you would. I know y'all like to use that because that's why your mental health's cooked. It's because y'all like to use that whole, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Blah 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 blah. And to a certain extent, that does work. That's actually a voice that you can develop in a healthy way if you go to the gym. Because instead of you saying I can only do 10, you'll be like, you know what, let me do 11. Let me do 12. And then you'll start pushing over that barrier. When you don't have a healthy way to do that, you do negative shit. You feel what I'm saying? So, when you speak to somebody's mistakes without taking in consideration the entire context of why these mistakes have been made, then what you are essentially doing is inciting that you would prefer those mistakes either stay there or keep reoccurring. Because what the fuck that got to do with what we talking about? Like, what is the relevancy behind that other than people make mistakes, especially disenfranchised people, especially people that are a product of our environment, which is pretty much everybody. So I thought it was the desire to want to do something about it. You know, the whole bootstraps thing that you were just mentioning. I thought that was the point, and not, you know, rehashing the past. Because usually when people do that, they're trying to dig at you, probably because they like you. This for real. That's because that's what they used to do in like elementary school. You know what I'm saying? You like somebody, you go up and hit them. You wouldn't say, "Hey, I like you," which is what you should do. You would go punch on them or make fun of them or shit like that. You know, we have movies about that, so it's not like I just made that up. Like, you know, so you obviously just like, you must like me. Maybe that's what it is. I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Probably like me too. But but I'm saying that, you know, for anybody that thinks about content creating, because a lot of this content creating, I know a lot of people, when I started mentioning content creating or, you know, talking about that, I don't know necessarily how that's going to go, but I know a lot of people be looking for like a 1, 2, 3 or a step, this, that, and the other. And a lot of it, I can honestly say, as somebody who's been content creating my entire life, wanted to be one, not specifically a content creator, because I didn't understand what that was at the time. We actually have the term for it now, so now it just makes a little bit more sense. But y'all been making content since the dawn of time. If you're talking about movies and fucking scripts, satires, that's all that is. It's basically content. But you know, by definition. So, but in the context of the way you use it today, essentially still the same thing. Um, so you know, so I'm saying all that to say that a lot of it has to do with your mental health, how you perceive the world, how you look at everything, and that helps a lot with your output. A lot of what your content can be about, and a lot of ways to help you grow faster. Just understanding it helps you grow faster. And if you stop trying to find like a secret tool to help you do it and start realizing that most of us that are talking about mental health when it comes to content creating must have a point, because we all fucking different, but we all essentially kind of saying the same thing. That's why people get to the point where they don't give a fuck about you when you try to ask for help, because when they tell you what you need to do for real, and they're being genuine about it, you be like, that ain't what I was looking for. Well, fuck you then. I know that's what you do because I used to do it. I know that's what you're doing because that's exactly what I used to do. I used to do the exact same thing. And it's really hypocritical of you. It's really, really, really foolish. Like if you go to somebody and ask them for help, there's a reason why you ask them for help. So if they say something that you don't like, my suggestion would be to let them know that and to ask for context, because you might be perceiving it in a way that somebody hasn't experienced yet, is just perceiving it. And it's not necessarily your fault. But the only reason why you're going to fail in that is because you decided to keep that inside and be like, you know what, I'm just not going to listen to them because I don't understand. Why would they say that? That's the problem, is you didn't ask them why did they say that. You had a question and you didn't ask it. So now at that point, it's not necessarily on them, it's on you. Because they're like, anybody that's really trying to offer you advice will add context to what they're saying if you ask them. If a female is telling you like if she's giving you quote unquote bad advice about a man, she'll tell you. She'll say, hey, I'm telling you this because I done been through this with this nigga and I done been through this with that nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. Like, they'll tell you why they're giving you the type of advice they're giving you. People will tell you. Like, I don't understand why everybody always want to act like they're so manipulated by life. Like, people actually are not that fucking complicated. They're really, really not. Your belief systems and your feelings is what's making it feel that way. See how I use feel twice, because that's the problem. Feels, the feels. It's the feels. I'm trying to tell you, it'd be the feels. Stay out the fields. They had us in the fields. That'd be the problem. Trust me, I know about the fields. Stay out the fields. You all in your fields. You need to get up out the fields. Picking cotton in the fields. It's the problem with y'all. You need to figure it out. Get your life together. So that's funny as hell. Yeah, so that's all that is. So my bad. You know, y'all should do that one time. Cause I know sometimes my blunts go out when and I have to relight them. Y'all should take a shot every time I have to relight a blunt. That'll be a fun game. Yeah, you watch one of my episodes, and every time I have to relight the blunt, you gotta take a shot. Now that'll be fun. I think that'll be fun. And don't let nobody let you make you feel like it ain't. You know what I'm saying? You know, people always talking about, oh, you alcoholic. It's a lot going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? You know, I feel like if you still doing your best to work and take care of your responsibilities, don't let nobody make you feel like you less than in any capacity, because that'd be our problem. We get to feeling like people looking at us like we less than, and then we get to start acting less than, and then we get to really like being less than. And you didn't have to start acting like you're less than anything because you're not whatever you think you should be. The problem is that is our perception of how people perceive us. It's all about perception, and all of it is really stupid because who the fuck cares? Should be the mentality we all have. Like, who the fuck cares? Nobody fucking cares. But people like to pick and choose when they use I don't give a fuck. You know, people will say, man, I don't really give a fuck about nothing. Yes, you do. Because if I pushed you down the steps right now, you'd be mad. So you do give a fuck about shit. You give a fuck. Like, do you not understand what give a fuck mean? Do you not know what a fuck is? Maybe that'd be the problem. I don't be knowing what a fuck is. You just be, I don't give no fucks. You don't even understand the concept of a fuck. How the fuck would you know if you give fucks away? You don't know what the fuck is. The fuck? You don't know. That's what the fuck the problem is. You don't even understand what a fuck is. You talking about, I don't give no fucks. How the fuck would you know? Can't spell fuck, talking about you don't give them. Hell wrong with you. Don't understand the concept of nothing, because that's not how nothing in life works. If you don't understand how to use it, you're gonna fuck it up. Duh. Stupid. That shit's dumb. There's no science to prove that any other choice. That's why you need to start creating your own safe spaces to be by yourself around whatever the fuck you at, because like people are fucking weird, bro. Like, it's like I've been like the young nigga in the group with the other young niggas, and they just start saying shit that just don't make sense. And I don't like the fact that we live in a world where, you know, kids are still doing that. Like, we're still like being influenced by other kids or whatever the case may be. I don't think people should be being influenced by nobody else no more. I don't. It's too obvious. To me, it's too obvious to how stupid people are. And you should be able to have like a little bit more. I think we are in a world where we have a little bit more discernment than we used to. To me, by definition, we would have to. We're not, it's not, um, you can't be obviously violent anymore. Like, you have to sugarcoat your violence. To me, that in itself is letting me know how far humans have come over time. What's that, like 3 shots now? That lets me know how far human beings have come. So because y'all have the potential to do that, I don't really be want to give y'all no excuse, just like y'all don't be trying to give me no excuse. Oh, well, you black, that's not an excuse. That's because you're, impoverished and stuff like that, and mental health issues and all this, that, and the other. Yeah. Stop looking at stuff like it's excuses. Start looking at stuff like it's explanations. Because once you have an explanation, then you know how to solve the problem. It's still a problem. Like, it's still a problem. If you don't feel like you've ever been through anything as a black person, then you need to come over here and fix some shit because you're still black. Or Just shut the fuck up. Just don't act like it's not a thing. Like, did we go to different schools or something? Like, so, okay. Okay. You got it. You got it, gang. Maybe we did. Maybe we did go to different schools. Maybe we did. But I just don't think we're gonna get to an ultimate peace, love, and happiness if we denying people's experiences. That's stupid. Um, that doesn't mean I have the right to impose my experience upon you. But I didn't choose to be black. I probably would have, but look at the draw. So it's not something I can, cover up. So it is what it is, and I feel like that's how everybody about feel. Like I feel like everybody feels that way about their own little individual situation. My thing is, we need better people to articulate where they're coming from about certain shit, so that way the message can be delivered a little bit better. And for me, I think I speak pretty well. So in my little section of the world, I'm gonna let motherfuckers know what it is, because we all like when people say, well, do you speak for all black people? No, I speak for myself, and I speak for the people who have experiences. I speak for myself, and if somebody say, hey, I feel what he's saying, then I must be speaking for them too. I didn't intend to do that, but we do that. So don't try to muddy the two to try to make your point because you're in your feelings. I'm sorry, because you're in the fields. You sound like a fields nigga. You sound like you in your fields. You know what I'm saying? And I can understand why you angry being in the fields. We used to be in the fields too, so and we still angry. So I get it. But no, you need to escape. You need to run away. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, because that shit be sounding crazy. So anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. This will be my last light. I promise y'all. This will be my last light. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Uh, any questions, comments, or concerns? We still out. Appa is still in the concentration camp. We will be getting her back soon. We got half of the steps that we need to get done already to get her back. Because I had to work my credit to get that shit right. So I did that. And now we gotta work on the other part. So, and I will let you know what that is once we get it done, because sometimes I'll be feeling my mom used to tell me that a lot. Like sometimes you don't want to put stuff out there until after you got it taken care of. So so I'm gonna leave half of it to myself so I can go ahead and try to get it taken care of. That way I can stay in the right headspace, because you can't trust everybody. See what I'm saying? I know most of y'all that watch me are genuine good people. I know that. I know you're a good person. But a lot of these people not, and who knows? Like I said, we might watch this video, or somebody else will watch this video, and all of a sudden, hey, man, fuck that nigga. You know what I'm saying? And all of a sudden, now you brought me some bad jujubes, and now I got to throw them back at you, and now you cursed because you didn't know who the fuck you was fucking with. It's crazy. Anywho, so yeah, I said that was the last time. My bad. All right, y'all. I'ma holler at y'all later. Hopefully, you learned something. If you didn't, that sucks. Peace, love, and happiness. Go have a great day.